This is Danny with QuadLugs, and this is a little project that I've been working with Doug on, and he wanted something a little bit bigger than the modified H. Anyway, this is what we come up with, and it's 4 inches inside clear, and it's 14 inches inside clear. So it's putting it like, 16, 17 inches and 5 inches. So I guess 15 inches and 5 inches wide. And this is for Doug, a few build tips on it. It's pretty critical on keeping Doug these measurements here as close as possible. I was mentioning to Doug, I had some, when it was first built, when I first built it, I had these spread out pretty far, and I was having some yaw problems, and I know that you can offset that by, adjusting the controller, and this one, I'm using a KK on it. But what I like to do is build them so that there's very minimal adjustments made to the controller, so pretty much anyone getting into it can fly it without knowing a ton about how to adjust controllers or take the time to do it, or sometimes a frustration on getting it right. So I was having a yaw problem with it, and it was pretty bad actually, and it took a lot to keep it straight, and then after a while it started trying to catch up with itself and it get out of control. So Doug, when you're building this, what I suggest is keeping this real close. This is 7 3/4 center to center, and I think 7 1/2 to 7 3/4 is what you need to stay with. You start getting too much, and believe it or not, you see this hole right here, out this far here, and this much further, and that was about another 1.5 inches. It was starting to the yaw problem, and I'm a firm believer. Some people say that the frames, controllers are everything, motors and props and controllers, everything frame is not as important, and I beg to differ on it. I'll tell you, I've done a lot of this. I've built a lot of them. I've done a lot of experimentation with motor angles, motor arm angles, even motor angles, because with our adjustable motor mounts, you can even adjust those. And I've done a lot of builds, and I'll tell you what, I've used a lot of motors. Not a lot of different kind of controllers, but I've seen to where frame does matter, and it matters a lot. Not only on stability, but on how the craft performs totally. So motors, props, controller absolutely is important, but so is the frame. And if you have a good combination between it, you'll have a good machine. So anyway, getting back to this, Doug, what I would do is, keep it, 8 inches or 7 1/2 to 8 inches here. And, 7 1/2, I think is really good. 8 inch, I don't think I'd go more than that unless you want to do a lot of work on, your PID settings. Not a lot of work, but it's going to be, you'll have to do some adjustments, and be honest with you, like I said before, I hate that. I think the frame ought to be able to fly well and consistently without having to do that. A lot of people are going to argue with me on that, so be it. We're all, we all do things a little bit different. This works though. 7 1/2 to 8 inches here. If you want to lengthen this up here, you can try to keep this here. If you want some room here, less room here, move it this way, but keep this measurement this consistent as you move. I think also you're going to find that the more that you pull this back, the better it'll fly. For some reason, when you start putting that kind of weight out here, again, you're going to have to do some adjustments to your controller, or have a controller that's going to offset it and take care of it. But what you'll find there too is that you start using up power. Your motors are going to wind up working, differently than the others, and you're going to wind up using power because it's trying to compensate, or more power because it's trying to compensate. So whenever you put your camera on, when you work this out, if you can bring this back even further, better for you. It's going to fly better. As it is here, you're going to see some flight videos, flying great. You're going to like it. It worked out really well. But just remember that this needs to be the same, whether you move it back and forth to increase, more, give you more room here and less here. And if you leave it like this, if you have this kind of a setup, the closer you get this, so the more you pull this in, maybe go from 14 to 12 or whatever, it's gonna fly better, I guarantee you. The other thing is that I'm gonna give you enough wood to go from here to here, from inside to inside of your motor arms. I just did it this way because, I didn't need it. So you'll have enough wood to go from here to here, and you can obviously cut it down if you want to any size you want, and you can move this around a little bit. So other than that, that's about it. Go to the quick build guide and at QuadLugs.com, and it's going to run you through 7-inch, run you through of the assembly. But that's the only difference, is keep this that 7.5, 8 inches apart. And like I said, if you can pull this back a little bit more, it's going to help you. If you do put your camera down below, you can increase these leg lengths if you want to. There's no problem at all. But right now, here she is. It's coming to you. And I really like working with it. And thank you, Doug, for your purchase. But anyway, it was fun. Let me know how it does. I'd be really curious. See some of the footage that you have, some of the camera footage that you take with it, and have fun with it. You're going to enjoy it. This is Danny with QuadLugs. We'll talk to you later.